Welcome, guys, to the MMOs.com podcast. Altai here, joined this week by
Omer.
And we are on episode 111. All right, what do you think of that?
They say actually in China, like 11-11, which is their singles day, is actually the loneliest day of the year because all the ones are by themselves, like just 1111. So maybe this is the loneliest podcast.
Oh, we'll see. We got to keep each other company.
Yeah, that's fair. But we're going to start with the weekly raid as usual. But before we jump to the current weekly raid, we had a pretty fun one last week, and it's worth recapping some of the discussions and what other people thought about our weekly raid. So if you want to read some of the fun, interesting comments about last week's weekly raid, which is, go ahead, read it.
Yeah, so last week we asked, should governments restrict game time? Okay, and we mentioned a few examples, like in China and Tencent with Strike of Kings / Honor of Kings. And we just talked about a few other examples, right? And it really was like, I wanted to know what you guys thought. And some people got really offended. Some people wrote essays. This was a more lively weekly raid we've had. Like this guy just, posted an essay here. Maybe we can hand this in for my high school project. Some guys got really mad. They called me like Stalinist and Maoist. They said any talk of restriction is like literally Hitler, So we have a few of those kind of people.
I think the exaggerations. I think a lot of people. This is the question. I think got a lot of instinctive replies from people. I think when we all read, should governments restrict game time? We all instinctively say, of course not. It's stupid, right? Personally, I don't think we should either. We talked about that last week. But there is clearly some merit to this kind of discussion because whether we like it or not, government is involved in regulating a lot of parts of our daily life. Whether it's what age we can start smoking, what age can we drink, what age can we gamble. So government does get involved, and it's really maybe not an issue for today because I do agree it's not a big issue right now. But maybe like in the future when people were like, when video games get so good that people don't want to do anything else. Imagine the time when video games are so god tier that you just want to veg out in your home all day, and maybe then it can become a problem for under 18s.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I feel like people kind of like don't realize. Maybe people don't realize how much government restriction they have in their life now. Like for example, you can't work like more than like X number of hours a week, like legally at least, right? By a legal employer. There's overtime rules and stuff. Yeah, that's a restriction on freedom. You can't drive if you're like an Uber driver. They won't let you drive past a certain number of hours a day because it's dangerous. Because you get sleepy or whatever. So there's a lot of restrictions, guys, by the government. So like, just kind of thinking about the potential restrictions on games for kids, especially. I'm not for it, but I'm just I was really surprised by the gut reaction that people had. Some people were even more interesting. They somehow equated this with global warming and like overpopulation, and there was a lot of weird discussions that came out of this.
I think it's a very common deflection of like trying to minimize like the issue. I think we were both in agreement that we don't think it should happen, but you can't like write off a problem as like, oh, there's a bigger problem we can worry about, like global warming. It's like, wait a minute, we're not talking about global warming. We're talking about video games and government regulation. You can't bring up a bigger problem and say that forget about this. Let's worry about the other issue.
Exactly. So that was his point. He's like, well, global warming is happening, so we shouldn't talk about this. I'm like, okay, whatever. That's weird. Some people had a much shorter response. This guest, his response was no ? So that's a quality response right here. This guy was really offended. I want to read this one out loud, guys. He said, dudes, I'm not even reading this trash. You are just a bunch of retards. That's what your pieces of shit are. The solution doesn't come from taking away what we love to do. It comes from giving us the life we deserve with real cash economy systems. You fucking assholes, all of you. I don't know what that means.
What does that even mean?
Real cash economy, baby. That's what he wants, all right? Real cash economy.
That's what the world needs, guys. This guy is just totally nuts. It doesn't even make sense, his reply.
Yeah, but anyway, I really enjoyed reading the comments. I don't agree with them all, but it was fun reading them. I actually did read the wall of text as well. That's always fun. So I do hope you guys contribute to the weekly raids. Maybe this one was just a really good one. But with that said, we got to move on to this week's weekly raid. Can't stick with last week's sauce. And this week, we want to know, would you play a mobile MMORPG? And what brought this up for me was this week we got a whole bunch of mobile MMORPG news. I'm not talking about like mobile games like Candy Crush. I'm talking about real MMORPGs. Albion Online launched, and it's going to have a mobile version eventually. There is no current version. Mabinogi Mobile was announced by Nexon in Korea. And RuneScape, Jagex, announced mobile versions of both classic and current RuneScape. Summer, what do you think of all this mobile talk?
I think like we've talked a lot about mobile, but I think what's really important about this week's weekly raid is more so like what would it take for you to start playing a mobile game, for example. I think a lot of us, we look at the mobile game landscape, especially mobile MMOs, and we correctly, I think, write them off as garbage. Like, you play mobile games today, and basically no matter what game it is, there's this nonsense auto playing feature. Like, the game really plays itself. It's really basic, and it's not at all comparable to like a PC MMORPG experience, which I think most of us are here for PC MMORPG experiences. We all, a lot of us grew up playing WoW, RuneScape, Ultimate. A lot of these, I feel like now we can call World of Warcraft old school. Is that fair? Like, I feel like if you play vanilla WoW, it's old school now, right? We're at that hump.
Yeah. It's retired. It's an old school realm.
But I think for me, what would it take for me to play a mobile MMO? I don't think I've played any mobile MMORPG seriously yet. Like, I've tried a whole bunch. I've done first looks for some, and I do see the genre getting better. I've done a video for Lineage to Revolution. I think the English client should be out now. I did a video for the more recent NetEase game. I forgot what it's even called, like Twilight Spirits or something. No, that was a different game. But these games are getting better, right? But I still feel like we're at this weird juncture of like in between, like an actual MMORPG and in between mobile nonsense. We're not quite at the tier yet where we can really look at like a mobile game. And I'm hoping Albion Online and Lineage Eternal are the two games that kind of push us toward more like genuine mobile MMORPG experience that feel like PC games, and not just made for mobile. I still want that full experience in the PC, and maybe while I'm on the go, I can still contribute to my PC experience on the phone. I don't want something specifically made for a phone, which is usually a more light or dumbed down version of a game. So I think both Lineage Eternal and Albion will get us a little bit closer.
Yeah, and you mentioned something about being like just stuck on mobile or something. And the good thing about both Albion and RuneScape is they're not going to be like mobile spin-offs. They're going to be the full version you can just access with your phone. So you can still play on your PC at home, and then maybe if you just want to like check something on the go, like a lot of RuneScape, for example, is like just trading in the marketplace, right? Or talking or whatever. You can do all that on your phone. And I was reading some of the thoughts the developers had, and one of them was they were kind of surprised or just pleasantly shocked to how easy it is to transfer the movement in RuneScape to mobile, because it's point and click, right? So with a mobile phone, it's very easy to just click on the ground and walk there. It's harder to use like a joystick on a phone because they have that stupid ass like thing on the side of your screen for your thumb. I hate that. So I think cross-platform is going to be the way to go for like a full-fledged MMORPG on the phone.
Actually, people are saying like they want to see, and like, they don't necessarily just want to see a PC MMORPG on mobile. They want to see people make mobile games that kind of designed for mobile, and it plays well that way. But my problem with that is we've seen that a lot lately, and I think a lot of the stuff that's mobile exclusive have been kind of iffy. Again, Lineage to Revolution, it's making a lot of money, right? But for some reason, it has not appealed, I think, to the core MMORPG audience in the West. I think it's captured the Eastern market very well, but I think a lot of people that like MMORPGs in the West don't necessarily like mobile MMORPGs, which is why those games that are making a killing in Asia have yet to really translate the top tier ratings or revenue or player numbers on the app stores in America and Europe. You look at the top grossing games in America, you still have games like Clash Royale, Clash of Clans. There's a lot of, there's a handful of like Chinese browser games ported to mobile on there, but there's really no, big MMORPG on there just yet.
Yep.
And I want to bring topic another. Click on this link I sent you real quick and download the IR presentation from May 2017, because NCSoft actually has NCSoft guys behind Blade and Soul and Lineage to Revolution have an interesting presentation, and they talk a little bit about the mobile market, and I want to reference that.
Where did you link it? Oh, I see. Global NCSoft. Here we go.
So if you bring a PDF, just let me know when you get that open. But so basically, I'll talk a little bit.
The May one.
Yeah.
The May one, right? Okay.
So again, NCSoft is this giant company, and they're based in Korea, obviously. And they every month or so they make a little presentation of a few months talking about the video game market, where it's going, what they see and stuff. And I do find it pretty fascinating. They talk about where they make the most money as well. And there's a pretty interesting slide if you scroll down to. Let me know when you get open.
It's open.
Right. Scroll down to, let's say, page 13.
Page 13. Here we go.
And this actually, I thought this was a very cool slide because it looks at the top grossing games on mobile in 2012 versus 2016. And if you look at 2012 for mobile gaming, we really had these very casual games that really you would play for like 5 minutes and then like stop. Games like
Hold up. What am I supposed to click? The NCSoft global download, May 2017.
Yes, IR presentation May 2017.
Okay, sales breakdown by region. That's page 13 for me.
Okay, we're clearly looking at the wrong thing.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, I got you. I was the slide numbers are different than the actual page numbers.
Yes.
I got you.
You see it now?
We good. I do.
Okay, so take a look at the 2012 list. Like these are games that I remember, like on mobile, everyone would play games like Temple Run, like these games that were very arcade style, right? That was the early age of mobile gaming, and now we're starting to get games, and it's looking at the top grossing games, I believe, in Korea. Games like Seven Knights, Lineage 2 Revolution, Mu Origin, Heroes of Credible Tales, right? Raven, Dragon. These are more like RPGs and / MMORPG things. Like Lineage 2 Revolution is an MMORPG. So we're starting to see the evolution from going from arcade-like games to more real games. And somebody coined those. But
well, yeah. It's a lot like just like arcades and consoles, right? Like the first wave of games were like, you know, Pac-Man and shit. Mm-hmm. Then we got RPGs and so on. So yeah, it's I think mobile is following the same progression that, you know, arcade and console follow.
But the kinds of games, I think there's still like I think like we're not really there yet. I think the next wave of mobile RPGs and MMORPGs that do really well are going to be more impressive mobile games. I think the mobile games we have today are really mobile MMORPGs even. They don't really feel too innovative or different or like really. We're not there yet. I think give it another like 3-4 years. I think we're gonna get a lot of mobile MMORPGs that people like us, like old guys like us now, will look at and have fun with actually. Because I think if you play Lineage 2 Revolution, you'd be like, "What the hell am I playing?" It's auto playing itself. Even though the game is really popular, I think the quality of games are getting a lot better. And I think Lineage 2 Revolution is still a much better mobile game than some of the stuff we had like 2-3 years ago. So we're going to get to a point where I think even us and even our audience, which I think our audience is very much pro PC Master Race and more RPG gamers. I put up videos all the time, not all the time, but for like mobile games on YouTube. And for the most part, the usual response is, F this mobile trash, right? But I think I see it all because I try not to cover too many mobile games on YouTube because, again, my audience doesn't really want it. But if a game is big, like Lineage 2 Revolution, I got to cover it, right? This is such a giant game. And I'm staying away from most of the mobile junk. I just want to cover the big names. So I think we get to a point where even my audience will be more accepting of mobile RPGs and mobile MMORPGs. It'll be something more real going forward.
Yeah, it's a combination of technology getting better, and I think the developers kind of figuring out how to do a good UI for the phone. Like if you told me like 5 years ago, right, that a game like League of Legends would work even like a little bit on a phone, like the way Honor of Kings does, I wouldn't have believed you. Like I straight up would have said like that's bullshit.
Yeah,
you need like a mouse and keyboard, but you know you don't need a mouse and keyboard apparently. So they're getting better at designing the UIs and stuff. And as for the graphics getting better, I know you linked this Mabinogi Mobile video. I want to show it because I really enjoy Mabinogi, the art style. So this is a trailer for Mabinogi Mobile. It was released, I think, on July 9th in Korea. They kind of revealed that they're working on this game. Let me skip ahead here. Here we go, boys. So if you guys played Maple Store Mabinogi, you'll recognize this music and this scene. Ooh, look at that. Walking around town. So, interestingly, this is going to be the first one of these major games, I think, that's vertical. What do you think of that, Amor? Because a lot of these games, you hold, you know,
landscape.
Horizontally.
Landscape is the proper term.
Oh my God, who cares?
Portrait or landscape.
But so yeah, there's like chat box, you know, on the left there, and these guys, you know, they're showing you crafting, they're showing you like resource gathering, and they're even going to show like raids and stuff with groups of people. So if you can do all this on a phone, that's pretty impressive.
And people are still saying mobile games are used only for the bathroom, honestly. But I think we're getting away from that is the point. And I do think Mabinogi Mobile looks pretty impressive so far, but it still seems so far from release, you know? But I think it definitely has potential. I hate saying that word potential again. But I still think deep down, the games that are really going to shake and I think win over some converts, you know, is going to be Albion Online, Lineage Eternal. These are the games that are going to be out for PC with mobile clients. I mean, even if RuneScape Mobile too does well, like RuneScape Mobile will prove that you can have a real MMORPG on mobile. It's not a remake; it's literally the same game. It's gonna be cross-platform. You know, both old school RuneScape and regular RuneScape on mobile, and it's gonna work. And people are hype about it because they're gonna be able to play their favorite game on the go. And you're not gonna have to compromise like, oh, it's a mobile game. No, it's gonna be a real game. You're not gonna view it as it's just a mobile game. Especially with the stuff like Albion and Lineage Eternal. Those are the games I think that are gonna really get people more accepting of these mobile games, especially here in the West. We've been holdouts.
You know what's really interesting about RuneScape as well? How well it's doing. It's, you know, they had their best revenue year this year, even though they originally came out in 2001.
That's crazy.
So it's RuneScape is still growing, guys. It's not shrinking.
There's something about that game that keeps people coming back all these years. I have friends who played that game like when they were kids, and they still come back and play it now. Like even if they take a break from it, they'll take 1-2 year break and they'll come back and keep playing it. A lot of these games are really strong pull. You know, it brings everybody back every few years, and RuneScape is one of those games.
Well, I'd be really interested to hear what you guys think. What do you play mobile MMORPGs? What keeps you from playing them? Would you play them in the future if they, were decent? Do let us know, and we will discuss it next week.
A lot of people in the chat are saying I will never play mobile games, but like there's got to be something that would make you play a mobile game. Like what is it? You can't inherently hate the fact that it's mobile. There's something about it being a mobile game. There's something about the game that you don't like. It's not that it's just mobile inherently. So what would it take? What would make you play a mobile game? Like what design would have to be removed? Like what stuff are you seeing in games that you don't like, and what would you like to see in a game? Maybe like because I do think you can have like the PC experience on there. If not now, like. I don't see why you can't even play Blade and Soul on mobile, especially if you're willing to like pay for a Bluetooth accessory, like some gamepad or something, right?
Oh, like a gamepad.
Yeah, like with a gamepad, you instantly open the doors to like gaming like crazy. Because first, you have to mention that mobile devices are literally gaming devices. These devices make like the highest revenue generating apps for mobile phones are games. Like I even use my phone to call people. I don't even use it to text people. I use to once in a while browse the internet and read Reddit and play games. Like, and that's what most people do. Mobile games like make more money than all the other apps combined. So why won't it be in the future? Like, why can't you just buy a phone with a gamepad that comes with it? And I think you will, whether it's an Android device or Apple device. It's just going to come with a gamepad. And then when you have that and the phones are strong enough, there's no reason you can't play, Guild Wars 2, Blade and Soul, and these traditional quote unquote real MMORPGs on mobile as well.
You know what I think it is? I'm gonna not to shit on the audience, but it definitely applies to me as well. So I know it applies to some of them out there. We tried mobile games like 8 years ago, right? Yeah. When the best you had was like those shitty helicopter Infinite Runners.
Yeah, like I remember those.
So we played those, then we stopped, and now it's been like 8 years later, and we still think of mobile gaming as that. So we think it's shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not giving mobile games a fair shake. I played like 6 of them total, like in 10 years of iPhone. So I'm not really giving them a fair shake right now. So I actually don't know what's going on with the mobile scene. I haven't played the Strike of Kings really. I haven't played any MMORPG on mobile. So I have no idea if they're good or not. I just assume they're bad because Temple Run was bad. No,
so, that's I think one of the big like taboos or like lingering like things about mobile gaming. Like I try to get people to play Strike of Kings with me, and like people are like, oh fuck that, I don't play mobile. Like that's like the instinctive response, and I can't even blame them because like I don't blame them for thinking that. It just. It's hard for me to play a mobile game as well, but like when I find one I like, it takes forever to convince me to get my friends to play it too because they don't like playing mobile games.
Yep. So we got some barriers to cross, boys. Some barriers to cross.
I think again we will overcome those barriers eventually. Depends how long eventually takes though.
Speaking of those barriers, one game that came out today. It came out yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and that game is of course Albion. So this game is going to eventually be cross-platform, but currently it is PC only. And it came out yesterday. If you paid the top price,
$100
early access. If you paid the middle price today, which is like 70 or something,
I'll look it up.
Then you can play it today. But if you just bought the regular $30 version, then you can play it tomorrow. Isn't that exciting, guys? Staggered releases. At least it's not a whole week early access. All right, some games do that.
Here's the deal, though. I think a lot of people are pissed off about this like pricing model because again, if you pay $100, you play yesterday. If you play $50, you play today. If you paid $30, you play tomorrow. So there's 3-day staggered release. And Albion Online has resource control, has territory controls, right? So people are saying, day one, people already have like the 3-4 guilds in the game already have an alliance controlling most of the territory, like the most valuable territory in the game. And they obviously
sounds like real life.
Yeah, there you go. It does sound like real life because obviously money has an advantage. But this is a game I think is going to, again, I said earlier, it's going to hopefully get people to accept mobile gaming. Not right away. The client is not out yet. But I am optimistic about this one only because we did play this during we did a long, like a year and a half ago. We did a Grindfest video for this game.
More than that, almost 2 full years ago.
Almost 2 full years ago, we did a video for this, and even then, I liked what I saw. Right, because having played countless MMORPGs and still playing like games, right, like it's at least different. This is, I would say, maybe like a more like stylish, modern take on maybe RuneScape, maybe some aspects of Ultima, though obviously not a one-to-one comparison, but it's different. You know, it's not just another Critica Online, which is the same shit we've seen a million times, right? Not to bash on Critica, pretty fun, a decently fun game, but it's the same thing we've seen over and over again. Albion Online, you know, you can throw sticks at it, but it's different, and at least I can respect the fact that they're making a different game.
Yeah, there's a lot different here. One, it's a sandbox. Like Omar said, it's mostly about just control of resources and territory. There's a single server for both America and Europe, so total one server. So that's kind of cool.
There's only one server?
I heard that somewhere. Not confirmed. I haven't played it yet. I had to play tomorrow because I didn't pay $100. So I will try it tomorrow. I might even stream it. I don't know yet. If I do, you guys can see like my raw impression. I'm not going to be like, wow, this game's great. I'm just going to play it. And if I like it, I'll keep playing. If I don't, I'll close it.
Well, we do a grind fest for anime on Friday, so you'll see it then as well. Both of us, we're going to be start playing tomorrow because we got the $30 bundle packs. Not the $100 sweet bundle to get in early.
So with that said, I'm glad it's going to be different, like you said. It's going to be a very different game. Whether that's good or bad, I guess you'll find out tomorrow. For me, at least, I'll find out tomorrow. But I'm excited to try it. In fact, I wanted to try it yesterday. I was like excited. I got home. I was like, oh, I want to try this game. And then more tells me, oh, we can't play it yet. We don't have the legendary version. I'm like, all right, whatever. I guess I got to wait 2 days.
Check the screenshot link too of everyone just rushing and playing the game. I think there is a magical experience about playing MMO during launch day. There's something about it which is just fun. Like obviously, it's not going to be like a smooth experience. And I actually really enjoyed playing Stormblood on launch as well. It's an expansion, though not a new MMORPG. I mean, people were saying it was incredibly laggy, disconnects, and this was again only for people that paid the $100 bundle. Were able to play on that first day yesterday. Even with that, there was major lag and disconnect issues. There was a lot of people saying some parts were unplayable. So there is something magical about the MMO experience right at the beginning. You see every new player around you. Everyone's like naked. Everyone's doing the same newbie quests. And it's, even though we've done that newbie experience, a lot of games, the easy ass quest at the beginning, it's still fun to see everyone doing it together.
I don't think this game is super quest based. I think it's very different. Some people are comparing it to Ultima Online, and it is isometric-y, but I don't know if I could compare it to Ultima Online. It's Ultima Online never really had territory control and the same kind of style like this. So this is pretty unique. So I don't know. Well, you guys will have to wait and see. What we think.
What do you think about they said the logic for the release schedule, like people pay $100 can play on one day before and then one day was a server capacity issue, or is that they're just trying to be sneaky?
They're trying to be sneaky with a pretty good a good justification, right? Like I can't wait for the server issue to be a non-issue. I don't understand why they're so bad at like just getting servers ready. Can't you just like AWS this shit?
I mean, clearly not, because again, we keep talking about server issues and launch issues, right? But like clearly it's not so easy as just putting on AWS as a kind of scaling platform that you just instantly works. Everyone has this issue, Yeah. So clearly it's not super easy. It's not like something you can fix, just snap of a finger.
Hopefully, Spatial OS saves the day.
I hope so. Hopefully. Actually, speaking of Spatial OS, RuneScape is actually, Jagex rather, not RuneScape. They're actually working on a new MMORPG. We don't know if it's Spatial OS or not, but they're working on something new. Did you hear about that?
I did, and I did hear they made a partnership with the Spatial OS people because they're both like British companies. So I would guess that yes, their new game is going to be using Spatial OS.
Unfortunately, we have literally nothing to base off what the new game is going to be. All we know is that there was a job posting for a senior game designer and a game programmer for UK for an unannounced new Jagex MMO. We know it's an MMO, and we know it's Jagex, and it's free to play. Those are the 3 things we know about it. Whether it's related to next gen, whether it's related to Spatial OS, has not been confirmed yet, and it probably will not be confirmed for a while. If they're hiring people for it now, game designers for it now, they have nothing to show. It's gonna be at least another 6 months, probably to a year, till we actually get a trailer for it. And because before things are announced, there's usually something made. Very often when you see reveal trailers, there's actually like some kind of usually gameplay. Sometimes we get some cinematics, but sometimes gameplay as well. So that's still unfortunately quite a while away.
I don't think they even need a new game. They should just keep focusing on RuneScape, in my opinion. It's worked really well for them for 16 years now. Every time they try something a little different, it kind of wasted their money. Like they had a little phase where they tried to be a publisher. They published a few of these really shitty browser games, so I don't know. I'm a big fan of the one studio, one game concept. Whether it's League of Legends with Riot, whether it's grinding gear games with Path of Exile, RuneScape with Jagex. I like that model. I mean, these things are services. You can update them and and so on for like decades. So that's the way I think it should be.
You know what's pretty funny? You mentioned their failed projects, and actually, it's not. You know, when I first wrote the article for this new project, right? I mentioned that Jagex has had. They tried to make a lot of games, and really nothing is really stuck the way RuneScape has. They made a game called Block and Load, which is still around, but it's it's not very big. They made a game called Fun Orb. They made 8 Realms, Carnage Racing, Chronicle of RuneScape Legends. Those have gone nowhere. These are all games developed by Jagex. They published War of Legends, Herotopia, Ace of Spades, and Stellar Dawn, and a bunch of other games, and these really have not gone anywhere. In fact, I bet you never even heard about this game. Take a look at this bad boy. It's called Carnage Racing. It looks like MMO Raw uploaded this, and just take a look at this gameplay video. Did you know that Jagex even made a racing game?
I had no idea. It even looks like the new RuneScape, the graphics kind of. Yeah, it does. Have you played the new RuneScape? We should do that one day.
We should.
Grand Fest, yeah. The graphics look really good now in RuneScape.
Mm-hmm. But like, it's so weird to see them keep trying all these new games, and like, and honestly, if I was a RuneScape player, it's almost like you would be a little upset that they're focusing their efforts elsewhere, and deep down, whatever they do that's not RuneScape is probably going to suck and fail, the way it has literally for every other game they've ever made. So like, they're taking resources away from your game that you love and that you're funding basically for the development, and it's going to all this other crap that never gets anywhere.
Reminds me of Sony Online Entertainment. They kept taking that sweet EverQuest money and then pouring it on all these other projects that just went nowhere.
Yeah, there you go.
And now they're gone.
Wow, a few people said, one guy said actually he played this game in the background. Interesting. I've never even heard about it. Carnage Racing. Came out in 2012. I think it was a Facebook game. I don't think it went anywhere though.
All right, so we covered. All right, so those are the mobile games that we discussed. Mm-hmm. There was a whole bunch of actually releases recently. Like, Omar, you played Black Squad a few days ago. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little about Black Squad. It's really weird. Like, you would think like now, like in 2017, right? We went through a phase of games like the Combat Arms clones, right? We went through that phase where we saw literally dozens of games like Combat Arms, whether it's AVA, whether it's Black Shot, which is a different game than Black Squad. And there are just so many like free-to-play FPS games that are just Korean lobby-based shooters. There are just dozens and dozens of them. But then this game called Black Squad is by NeoWiz Games. They're the same guys behind Bless. So I imagine maybe they're trying to recoup some of that Bless money that they lost by making it another shooter. And honestly, I thought it was decent. Like, it was no worse than really any other. It was really no worse than AVA, but I would say Combat Arms is better, only because it's got like a bajillion weapons and a shit ton of stuff to do. Whereas Black Squad only has like 13 weapons. Obviously, the number of weapons you have isn't the end, determinant what's a better game or not. But you do want some variety in your game, and there's warfare. Yeah.
I mean, Combat Arms has been out for so long, so they've been adding guns forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the main thing you said is like there's just too many games like this, right? So like, is this one gonna find the place?
What's crazy is like, I cannot believe that in 2017, NeoWiz Games like, okay, guys, gather around, boys, gather around. All the developers, get into the room. I got a genius idea. You know that game AVA and Combat Arms? Let's just make another Korean tactical shooter. Raise your hand. One developer raises their hand. Other one picks on him. Will we do anything different? Of course not. We do the same shit we always do. Great idea, boss. Let's make it happen. It was literally the same exact low-effort game that we've seen with the dozens of AVA and Combat Arms clones. Like, there's literally nothing different about it. It's the interface is even the same. Like, you go to the stupid shop. It's like it's all the same thing. How is this still a thing?
All right, thanks for the sub there, Toki Saki, Asian characters. Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the question: does it look and play fluidly?
A little bit. Like it looks like AVA, and it may probably better graphics, obviously newer. It's not as nearly as fluid as a game like Overwatch. There's something visceral about the combat. There's little details you can talk about the game, but in its core, it's the same shit we've had forever. And there's zero chance this is going to like do amazing. There's no way. It's the same thing we've had. If this game came out in like 2012, maybe it's like a prettier Combat Arms, but I don't understand what they're thinking when they made it. I don't understand. Like, why now? Why another one of these games? Not to say this. Look, I personally enjoy playing random shooting games, right? Last night on Discord, MMOs.com Discord, I was like, guys, let's all play First Assault. I had an itching to play a random shooting game, so I gathered like 7 people on Discord, and we were all ready to play First Assault, and this was like at like 11 p.m., right? And unfortunately, they were on maintenance until like 1 a.m., so we didn't actually get to play. But like, I enjoy playing random shooting games for like an hour or two at a time, and then maybe like 1 hour a week just for fun, right? A random, whether it's, you know, AVA. I'll re-download Combat Arms and play, right? Because I enjoy these kinds of games. And I had fun with this Black Squad game, but it's nothing new, and I give it 0% chance of success. It's the same tactical, at least First Assault, right? This Ghost in the Shell shooter is a sci-fi theme. At least it's got sci-fi going for it. It's still the same lobby-based shooter, see, but the sci-fi theme makes it a little different.
All right, so I want to describe that Korean generic clone game, and then I want to talk a little bit about a shooter I played recently, Argo. This came out late last month, and what made me finally try this is I was playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and obviously that's based on an Arma 3 mod originally. And Argo is made by the guys who made Arma 3, Bohemia Interactive, and this game is supposed to be like a lighter version of Arma, where instead of like this big open island you can explore, it's just like, you know, small 5v5 maps, you know, rounds, etc. I tried it because they're trying to go for that realistic thing. So it's definitely different than all the Korean lobby-based shooters we're seeing. For example, you can't see how many bullets you have. You can't see how much health you have. So it's really interesting. Oh, of course, you can't even see like your teammates' names above their head, right? So when you see somebody, you don't know if they're a teammate or an enemy. You can tell by like their clothing, right? But otherwise, you don't know. So team killing in this game is so common. I've killed teammates by accident. So it's definitely interesting, and I think it mostly serves as a free trial for Arma 3. So I think that's why they made this. It's like Arma 3 Lite, so you can kind of get a feel for the combat and like the style, what they're going for with the realism, and then you can spend the $30 or whatever it is on Arma 3.
It's worth mentioning. People do play Argo. I mean, it's people. There's 1,300 players on Steam right now, so it's definitely doing, you know, pretty decently, and you can always find the game. And it's the only like game I've seen besides Arma that does have this realistic feel to it, where you don't see your ammo, you don't see names over players' heads, you know, you don't see your health even. So like, all these little details are missing, and there's no crosshair. It's trying to be realistic.
Yeah. It's not crosshair either. Yeah. A few things I liked about it. By the way, I don't think the player base is doing that well. It started with 6,000 and really kind of dropped off pretty quick. So it's a hard game to get into, and also it has an old school server browser, right? Like you got to find a server. It's just giant lists. You got to like put filters, because the first thing you see is like 1,000 0 out of 10 servers. Okay,
as usual.
So like, and it does have a quick find option, right, for the different modes. But guess what? They don't work. Like you click on them and like it loads.
I had the same problem.
20 seconds.
Problem.
Okay, so like you can't quick play, and if you're a new player, you just kind of quit at that point. But if you click find server, you know, you can see all the servers. You got to modify by, you know, don't show empty, don't show full, and then you can finally get in and have a good time.
Don't worry. Combat Arms has that. AVA has that. So almost all these Korean lobby-based shooters have that as well. That has survived. That you know, mode of finding a game has survived in all the Korean shooters.
No, but at least the ones in the Korean shooters, I think, are presented a little better to the servers. I'm talking about the old school, like, you know, Steam, like, you know, Counter-Strike, CS:GO.
Yeah, it looks like that. You're right.
The original, you know, Steam server finder kind of.
That's true. But Argo's at least different. I think we talk a lot on this podcast about, you know, at least, you know, games trying something different. Oftentimes we see Western studios doing a little bit more different stuff. We talked a lot about Albion Online. Obviously, it's not exclusively Western studios. We talked a lot about Black Desert being different, and that's probably one of the reasons why it's doing so well on Steam right now. And overall, you know, it did offer something different. So anytime a game does something different, it's worth praising, I think, because too often we get the same old crap over and over again. And you know, I hate to, you know, say that, because like people do enjoy games like Critic Online. They enjoy a lot of these, you know, these MMORPGs that follow the mold, and I'm sure a lot of people enjoy Black Squad as well. But like, having played literally for like, when did Combat Arms come out? Let me look.
Oh,
because like yeah, go ahead.
While you look that up, by the way, if you guys are looking for a new, different kind of shooter, go try Argo, because it's free. B, it's really cool that they actually included the editor in the game, so you can actually like, here's a screenshot of me like dropping helicopters and like a bunch of soldiers on a field. Like you can actually make your own like little modded maps, and you can actually join servers of, you know, player created like little scenarios. So it's got all that going. So I was really sad to see they only had 1,300 players, because if it had more players, or if it does get more, you know, the cool mods you see in this, you know, would be fun to play. But obviously, they want you to buy Arma 3, which is a lot bigger player base and a lot more mods. So again, it's an Arma 3 free trial.
At least it's different. All right, at least it's different. So Combat Arms came out in 2007. It's a little newer than I thought, but I've literally been playing Combat Arms-esque free-to-play shooters now for 10 years. For 10 years, almost every time one of these games comes out, right? I've played it.
All right, Cola, thank you for the sub. That makes how many today? 3, 4?
Yeah.
Nice.
We'll give another shout out at the end for everyone that subscribed. Really appreciate all the support, guys. You know, and let's take the Pantheon as well, because they just released a new trailer as well, worth talking about a bit. And we were praising, you know, a lot of these Western companies for making different games. And while I'm personally a little bit excited for Pantheon, I do want to play it. I don't think Pantheon is doing anything too different. So if you want to show that trailer in the background, maybe talk a little about Pantheon.
Sure. So we talked about Pantheon a few times. It's basically it's trying to be a successor, spiritual successor. I love that word, to EverQuest, original EverQuest. So what that means is slow combat, slow leveling, and very little solo play. So like to level up efficiently, you will need to party. You know, the tank has to tank, the healer has to heal, and the damage classes have to do damage. Even when you're in open world, like not just in dungeons but everywhere. So I personally, I'm looking forward to trying it. And we're going to see if this kind of game with a slow, measured pace has a place in 2017. So what do you think of that?
Look, this game is trying to, I think, recapture a lot of old school people. I don't know if a lot of younger people will play this, right? Because like they're going to look at this and be like, this is slow paced. Maybe it may not appeal to them. But us who played EverQuest growing up, like this seems pretty awesome. You know, another, you know, a more modern take at EverQuest sounds pretty cool. I'm really curious to see if this can, you know, what the average age of players in this game are going to be. Do you think? I think a lot of MMORPGs kind of moved away from this really slow-paced gameplay because they must have concluded that this is not a good idea. Maybe it doesn't appeal to younger people. But I think this will do well because I think there are enough people play games like EverQuest who want a slower-paced experience.
I mean, I wanted this to do well because it was such an uphill journey for them. Like this is one of those games that they made a Kickstarter. It failed. They tried again to make a crowdfunding thing. It failed to reach its goal, and instead of giving up or just whatever. They pushed through. Like this is getting closer and closer to real release, despite kind of failing at the crowdfunding thing multiple times.
And there's some actual gameplay video. They've streamed themselves playing, the developers, right, in a bigger group, and there's something there, So I'm pretty confident this one will eventually come out. It's not in that weird ethereal phase of maybe never coming out. I'm pretty sure this one will come out. And I'm excited for everyone played EverQuest. But again, I don't think this is going to be the next WoW. I don't think it's going to be the next, I don't think the game really does anything too innovative. It's really just trying to re-harken back to the good old days. So,
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think we don't have as many, EverQuest clones and Dark Age of Camelot clones as we do, with that standard Korean grinder, There's just so many standard Korean grinders that, I welcome another, EverQuest clone. Only because it's not gonna be different, but at least there's not that many of them.
I'm showing a video. You can take a look too on the stream. It's of Cole Carnage playing the game with the devs, and man, what a blast! This looks so much like EQ, just the aesthetic of it, and that wolf, and the speed of combat. And I did want to make a small correction. People in chat have mentioned that it will be possible to solo stuff in the overworld. Just group content will be, obviously team-based. So they are throwing a small bone to the casuals these days.
To the filthy casuals. And somebody just mentioned actually that most gamers are 37 years old. That's the average gamer. It's a statistic thrown around all the time. I don't really like that statistic though, because I feel like it's a little misleading. Because yeah, I guess the average gamer is statistically 37 years old, but that's only because we have some 50-year-old gamer, 60-year-old gamer, and then we have
no. Doesn't it also include mobile gaming? That's probably why.
Our mobile gamers.
Everybody's
younger?
No, they're older. Everyone's aunt plays Candy Crush or something,
Well, it says average gamer as of 2016 is 35 years old, and I don't know if that counts mobile gaming.
I think it does, because I think a lot of older people play
Candy Crush, yeah.
Candy Crush, yeah.
But even before mobile gaming was a thing, back in 5-7 years ago, right? Even where mobile games weren't that big, I remember the average age being very high. I feel like that's not a good number. I think if we can find median age, because you always had some of the older gamers, and one 45-year-old, right, brings up the average so much compared to two 16-year-olds, because you don't play. I don't know.
I honestly, I just think it's a mobile throwing that whole stat off, but I could be wrong. We'll have to look it up for next weekly raid, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
How old do you think the average gamer is?
Because yeah, this average age is definitely a little misleading. I mean, here's my bullshit anecdotal evidence, right? Literally nobody I play games with. Literally nobody who regularly chats on the MMOs.com Discord is older than me, except one other person. Not counting you.
Whoa,
and I'm 27.
am I not a person?
And I'm 27. Okay, so I am like the oldest person minus one other guy on the Discord. So based on all my bullshit anecdotal evidence, all right. And
I'm telling you, it's just mobile phone. It's Farmville, man. It's like Candy Crush and Farmville. That's what's bringing the average up.
So yeah, but even before mobile games, this stat was always thrown around, and I always feel it was bullshit.
What? When is before mobile games? 2016?
No, like 7 years ago, let's say.
Okay, so they had these shitty mobile games 7 years ago.
When did Candy Crush come out? I'm looking.
All right, let's go, boys.
Let's go.
Right,
Candy Crush came out in 2012. All right. So we're good. It was even out in 2010. So in 2010, the average gamer was still very old. All right.
Omar, you're forgetting Farmville.
That's
whose
true.
grandparents, uncles, and aunts did not send them Farmville invites every day on Facebook?
That's a good point. There was this dark era on Facebook where you go on Facebook and you see like 10 invites from your older relatives, like your uncles, your aunts, like, inviting you to play Farmville, inviting you to play these bullshit games. So.
Yep, there you go.
Interesting. A few people are saying we got some older people on here too. One guy said he's 45. Interesting. Penguin Power. Awesome. Feel free to join the MMOs.com Discord, guys. Bring the average age up, So I'm 27. I don't want to be the oldest or the second oldest person on here. So you guys all welcome to join. Interesting. Maybe we should poll our audience. How old is our audience on Twitch? I'm seeing a lot of interesting responses here.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Oh man. This trailer is so funny. Like they're fighting these snakes, and it's taking like such a long time. It reminds me of my Quenos Fields days, just killing those snakes.
I actually we should with the ages are coming out right now: 22, 18, 29, 31. We got 42. Interesting. Straw poll time, boys. But
do you guys think Twitch skewers younger or older than YouTube?
I think older, if I had to guess.
Twitch is older. Okay.
That's my guess because we have a lot of younger guys watching like PewDiePie, I guess, on YouTube. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I think PewDiePie's audience is pretty young.
I think a lot of kids when I say kids, I mean like 5-year-olds, right? Whenever like their parents want them to shut up, they give them like the phone.
Yeah.
And the kids go to YouTube and they just like type in games and push enter, right? And just watch bullshit. So I think that drags down the YouTube average. True.
Actually, we should. I mean, first of all, I am excited for Pantheon. I think you are as well, right? Is there any release date in mind, or is this like still kind of out there somewhere?
It's out there somewhere, as far as I know. But one more quick thing about Pantheon, guys, and for me, it's so important in MMORPGs. The pace of a game like this, like of EverQuest, it gives you time to talk to the people you're playing with. If you're like running a queue dungeon or whatever in WoW, you're just racing through, right?
Yeah.
Or even like in Diablo 3 or whatever, if you're just clearing a level stage or whatever with a group of people, you're all going too fast, you're looting too fast, you don't care, and when it's done, you leave. But in Pantheon, like I'm watching these guys fight this one encounter, right, against these snakes, and this gives you time, like while you're auto attacking and doing your rotation, it gives you time to talk, to see what's going on. Okay, yeah, interesting conversations. You invite them to your Discord. You go to their Discord, vent, whatever, and you talk. You get to know each other, whatever. Like there's some social interaction going on. You don't get that when the game is too fast.
I think some of my most interesting immersive experiences in MMORPGs have been exactly that. And I'm sure you remember this as well. We used to go in EverQuest, we'd be in High Keep, we'd be camping Warrior Room or Raider Room. These are rooms in the dungeon, right? And in these rooms, monsters would spawn, but the rate of spawn was pretty low. Once you clear the room, there's like 4. Like Warrior Room had I think 3 goblins in it, right? And you kill 3 goblins, you have to wait like 10 minutes for the respawn. Like one of the goblins to respawn. So every 10 minutes you kill 1 goblin. And there was a genuine downtime. In that downtime, you would actually get to know people around you. You would get to know who was who on the server, right? And you had this, I'm not saying you had to be friends with them, but you knew who they were because you spent time with them. And you don't have that today at all. I'm playing FF14, and every time I do a dungeon, right? Because you have to do certain dungeons for story quests, you have to do dungeons for leveling roulettes, so you have to do a lot of dungeons in FF14. But at no point do you ever get to know who anybody is, because if it's not for me, not one person ever talks. You do the whole dungeon without a single word being dropped. The only time someone will ever talk is if you're queuing up for some of the story mode dungeon, story mode raids, maybe not raids, boss fights. They could have some mechanics and somebody would explain what the mechanic is. But most of the story game dungeons and quests where you're doing the stories with other people, nobody says a single word, and it's really sad because I try to get the conversation going sometimes, but oftentimes I don't say anything either because there's really no need to, and there's no time to talk either. You just literally rushing through the whole thing.
Exactly, and there's an even bigger problem with games like Final Fantasy 14 and WoW and stuff today. The fact they're not talking is very obvious. There's no point to, because one, you just queue with people, right? You'll probably never see again because it's multi-server, right? The queue.
Yeah, you'll never see them again.
So you'll never see them again. But I remember like in old, vanilla WoW, EverQuest, Ultima Online, all these old games, the people you see and like momentarily party with for like a certain area, even if you don't like remember their name exactly, you might see them again a week later in the next like area that you, and then he's there too now. He's around your like your power level, and you'll say, oh yeah, I remember you. Like it's a connection you make with the with the person because you see them throughout the progression, like leveling experience. You bump into the same few people that started around the same time as you. It happened to me in WoW, it happened to me in EverQuest. It's not going to happen anymore because you never see those people. You just queue, you're done. You queue, you're done. So
funny anecdote you never because I mean in even in the league, right, or HOTS or Dota, when you bump into the same person a couple of times, you kind of like you recognize their name, but that happens, and that little connection doesn't mean anything, right? But like it's you say, hey, yeah, it's you again, man. You did really well last game. Is this? You talk to them, but you don't get that at all in a lot of MMORPGs because it's all cross server stuff anyway. And I think you showed me a good video this weekend. This last week rather, about an old school vanilla WoW player saying why Black Desert Online is so great, and he made a pretty interesting point that flying mounts killed the social aspect of World of Warcraft. I think that argument can be made for any MMORPG today. So you want to recap that argument because I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. So this I'm trying to find the guy's name so I don't like steal his idea.
Well, it's
here.
it, yeah.
Can you look for them while I describe it? Okay, so this guy, he kind of like does what we do sometimes and kind of like develops the game in his mind, right? So he talks about why endgame sucks today in WoW. He says the common stuff, like there's no need to ever leave the town. You just queue for raids, you queue for dungeons, and you go to auction house. You never have to leave. Flying mounts make it so you never have to interact with the world. You never have to bump into people. And he's comparing that to the old days where as a hardcore player in Manila, he knew every max level player, Horde and Alliance, on his server. Not because he talked to everybody, but because he saw the same names. Like, let's say you do a certain run every week to get herbs, right? And on that path, you see the same people that are also taking that path, right? So you always see the same people. You get to know them. You get ganked by the same people on that road, on the other side of the faction. So you kind of build a community, even without trying, almost, right? Because you're not talking to these people, you don't know these people, but you kind of build a community, and that's lost today, obviously, with these cross server queues with flying mounts. It's Kungen. It's Kungen. Yeah, that's the video.
And I dropped the link to the video in the chat if anybody's curious. I think it's a really good observation. Maybe save the link. Obviously, not everybody agrees with him, but I think it's a very well-constructed argument. And he talked a lot about flying mounts that way, too.
Yeah, anytime anyone's got a MS Paint open and they're like, pretending to be like a game designer, that gets a thumbs up from me.
That's what I did earlier with Shu. Remember, we designed the perfect MMORPG with MS Paint open, MS Paint, exactly. And dicking around. Makes you a game designer, right?
Yeah, but yeah, good video. Great guy. He likes BDO for the reasons that he mentions. How it's open world. There's no set. And his problem with raids is because once you beat the raids, what can you do besides do those same couple of raids every week? Mm-hmm. And he likes BDO because it's basically endless. You can just kind of fight over territory with other people forever.
I think that's why we always kind of emphasize the necessity for lots of non-combat things in games. You can create your own experiences and things to do. Listen. The other week, I was like doing my casino at F14, right? And I had like these 3 cat girls with me, right? Just hanging out with me for some reason. Like just doing cute emotes with me, right? So logically I took them back to the free company hot tub. We were just sitting there in our little tub making cute emotes to each other, and it's a stupid little thing. I did for 5 minutes and I left, right? By the way, they were customers. They were gambling with me. So I was entertaining my guests, but just dicking around with emotes and housing and these little things, right? Obviously people do some weird ERP shit too, right? Which is a big part of F14. A lot of people do that. But having these things I think are great. Whether it's the gold saucer, whether it's chocobo racing, whether it's an in-depth housing system, whether it's all these there's so much shit you can do outside of core gameplay, which I think is really good. And obviously they were dudes. Don't worry, red dude, rude dude. I totally understand. The 99% dudes, but they were my customers, so it's okay.
And someone in chat mentioned a problem they have with BDO is the lack of dungeons, right? And actually, the Swedish man here mentions that. He says something like, in vanilla WoW, like millions of people had fun playing for months, right? Without even knowing what raiding was. Because for most people who played WoW, even if it wasn't their first MMORPG, it wasn't like, it was probably most people's first raiding experience, right? Large scale. So most people played WoW vanilla without ever thinking about raiding. And the ones that even got to max level, such a few percent of them ever actually raided seriously. Like maybe they did like the 20, the troll place with 20, whatever it's called, I forgot. But they never know. Most people probably didn't even do MC, right? In vanilla. So and it didn't stop people from having fun and enjoying the game for months and years. So I don't think raiding is as important as people think.
I think what was the stat for Next Ramus? The percent of people that ever took the first boss down to Next Ramus back, like before they, added the.
It's like less. I think it was less than 1%. I know I didn't, and I kind of played a lot. So.
Again, yeah, I don't think you need the rating for MMORPGs either. It's just that right now, like, it seems like there's nothing else to do. That's why, because again, we talked about this like 2 weeks ago. I think again, you need other stuff besides core combat to keep people busy, and it's got to be like. It's so sad that again we don't have that, and I played MapleStory yesterday. I've been playing it on and off for like last week because there's a burning event going on, right? And I'll go back to MapleStory every time there's a burning event just for the hell of it, and I found myself doing jump quest. Okay, I did, and not just by myself. I invited some friends on Discord to play with me. So we had like at one point 5 people I think at the Kerning City jump quest, and it was fun. We're not playing MapleStory. We're not doing the core combat, right? And the grind is its own thing, but like we just sat there doing jump quests, and it was fun because it's just another thing you can do with your friends. Like within an MMORPG, it helps make the game more like feel like an immersive experience. Obviously, I don't know if MapleStory and immersive are the correct words together, but like. Doing something in that world where you have your time invested in your character, it's more meaningful than if I just like for some reason opened up a different game on Steam that had like jumping puzzles on it, right? But like the jump quests were fun and it was done well, and people like these kinds of things because they're optional. You don't have to do them. And again, at any time if you go in FF14, you go to Kugane, the jump quest in FF14, they just add them for the first time with this expansion. People like them. They're doing them. It's why can't you have these things in MMORPGs beyond just the core grind? It's such a simple. Like, it seems so simple, but I guess nobody thinks about it or wants to do it.
Okay, my perfect MMORPG, right, would basically be a Discord server with a UI, with GUI.
What? How is that an MMO?
So, listen, hear me out. So, MMORPG has to be more than the sum of its parts. So so like imagine a Discord server with like the gambling bot, like the little random image bot, the little mini game bot. So an MMORPG should be something you always leave open in the background. Not because like you're auto farming or whatever in the game, right? Like BDO. Not because of that, but because like you never know when you're gonna get a message from someone like a friend. You want to like you want to style your character with something new, walk somewhere, whatever. It should be something you want to always keep open, kind of like a chat client.
But I don't see how that's what you're describing is Discord and a chat client. Why? What makes it an MMO? Like what part of the MMO?
Obviously, I'm saying it should be an MMO that you always want to leave open like a chat client.
What would make you want to leave it?
Well, I don't know, like just to talk to people that you run into.
But don't you like aren't MMORPGs today integrating with Discord? Didn't like Camelot Unchained I think want to do that? A few other games.
I guess I'm not describing it perfectly, but basically, the game should compel you to leave it open all the time, and not because it's like force feeding you like silver, like BDO for leaving it open.
I mean, ideally,
that makes sense. Yeah.
All right, you want to hear a random? I think would make some MMORPGs pretty fun too. Another just a random design thing I thought about earlier. Imagine in WoW, right? If you like some kind of feature that would give like casuals a chance to get really good gear. So imagine like you can get really, really top tier raid drops at like easier dungeons. So let's say you're doing like Upper Blackrock Spire or something, right? And when you kill the boss of Upper Blackrock Spire, he's got a 0.1% chance to drop like a top tier best in slot item. However, if you do the hardest boss in the game, he's 100% chance to drop it.
Okay, I get.
Don't you think that kind of scaling would be kind of cool?
Yeah, it would, and I think actually didn't Vanilla WoW do a pretty decent job at that? Because I remember there was something called world drops, like world uniques, right?
They were never good.
But there were like thousands of gold. Like they were if you got one,
they were good for Smurfs. That's why they like Twinks. That's why.
Yeah, but if you got one, you could auction house that shit.
Yes.
And you'd be so happy. Like you get your mount. You'd be sad among your friends. So I feel, and you're right. Some of them weren't useful, right? Yeah. Like you weren't good. So, but I think that was it's kind of a halfway to what you want, right? Yeah, and I agree that'd be a fun system where any mob can drop a potentially amazing item, but a really small chance.
Yes, and I think a lot of games have you like you don't even want to bother checking the loot in MMORPG. Like, let's be real. When you guys launch Albion for the first time, you're not going to be looking at the loot on 90% of the monsters you kill for the first 10 hours. Like, it's not even worth your effort to even look at the loot. You know, when you launch a game for the first time, it's always garbage loot. We're also trained to see garbage loot everywhere. They're like, if there's a small chance to get something actually gasp really good, I think we'd all be more interested in, you know, killing enemies. Again, there is a certain mechanic in game. There's certain, like, where I want to get stronger, and you want to get stronger so you can kill things faster, right? And if that has a chance of you getting this rare drop and killing enemies faster, like, it's going to make you want to get stronger. Like, games have to have like something in it to make me want to get stronger. And I think not enough games have that.
Be careful what you ask for with the loot, because then you might get a BDO situation where everything has a small chance to drop those black stones, which you need,
yes, that's
which
true.
Are really valuable. And then you kill so fast that the only way to stay up with the loot is to spend $40 on 4 loot pets that loot for you. So be careful what you wish for.
No, that's true. That's you know, that's taking it to the other extreme where you're killing, like, BDO gets like the Maple Story style. You kill everything on the screen like really quickly. Like, you, not the screen, but you pull like a whole bunch of enemies, you kill them all, and it becomes very difficult to loot. But I think like a traditional WoW-esque or WoW clone style MMORPG would really benefit from that system. And I think you mentioned it with the world drops in World of Warcraft. Like, that was, it's kind of what I was saying, but without being exactly that. But like, when you kill an enemy, there's a chance of dropping these world drops. Remember, there's level 40 weapon in WoW, an epic weapon, a purple weapon that would drop. That was really good for twinks, and it would be worth like hundreds of golds at the time, which is a lot of money in the game. And it was cool that you could actually drop that. So I would actually look forward to checking loot on enemies. But I feel like there's no point of checking on loot in most games, and it's unfortunate.
And someone actually in chat brought up a good point. I was actually going to say too. Another very similar system to what you're saying is in Ragnarok Online.
Yes.
The cards. Yeah. So some games have done something like stuff like this. But here's the thing: you got to be careful that you explain to new players what these items are worth when they get them. Because oftentimes a new player won't know the value of this card, right? Or the dice in Fly for Fun, or even Blackstones in BDO. Like, if you're like level 10 and you got to, you know, if you're playing during one of those Blackstone events and you're getting all these you might not know what they are, just like not loot them or destroy them.
But I think the card example is really good. I think the cards in Ragnarok Online was really good. I mean, there was such a low chance that, like, when you got one, like, it doesn't be like the impossible to get MVP cards either, right? When you got a card, you knew it was worth. It was cool to get one. Like, you would use it on your character. I remember, like, I still have memories of you having this the plus 200 HP card, and you would give it to me when I made a new character, because like plus 200 HP. Yeah. And it was the Sabri card of those little like caterpillars. I think it was that guy. But it would give you plus 200 HP on a weapon, right? And you had it on like a low level weapon, and it was an amazing item to have on a low level character, because that starting HP was OP. And that still sticks with me.
It's like a plus 10 dagger that like a level 1 can use with like a plus 200 health card, so that you can go through the beginning, you know, levels where you have no class really, really easily.
But that was, again, I think that's one of the little things in Ragnarok, I think, that made that game pretty successful too. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things that go into it, but I feel like a lot of MMORPGs just don't have like the little systems in them to make them like fun in the long term. And I don't think I have all the answers either. I'm sure all the stuff we bullshit about would probably not work. You know, it sounds great on paper that when you actually implement all of these, it might not work as intended, and it might not be as fun as we intend. But I would at least like to see them tried more, because it's sad to see these carbon copy games.
I already know the problem with your system. It's going to encourage bots up the wazoo, right? If anything can drop these, you know, unique items with a set small chance, you're just going to have like the max level players botting in the low level, like high spawn areas.
But you can know, but then you can't just, you know, assume everyone's going to bot. You know, if a high level player is botting low level stuff, he risks getting his account banned for a very small chance to get a rare drop. And I think I do think botting is botting is what blows my mind. I don't understand how this problem can't be fixed. I would love to talk to maybe somebody that works at like Blizzard on anti-cheat, somebody that works at Enix anti-cheat, any of these companies, right? Especially bigger games. I understand how it's a problem in smaller games, but they don't have the resources to tackle this. But on bigger games, you can and spamming. You can literally have one guy or two guys that are hired offshore in India or Indonesia or Pakistan that are working for, you know, relatively low wages, that just sit there right-click banning every single person that spams cold spamming websites, or obviously botting manually. This is not a great expense. You know, these games are making millions of dollars. Some of them, you know, Maple Story makes over $200 million a year. You know, some of these games, Blizzard, World of Warcraft makes over $800 million a year. They can hire. They can spend like. They can have a staff of like 3 guys on every server at below American minimum wage overseas, literally manually banning these people. I don't understand how it's a problem. It makes no sense.
I'll explain to you how it works. Conspiracy music. Cue the conspiracy music.
Everyone put on the tinfoil hats again.
Okay, remember last week we talked about how that guy who worked for Wargaming, he wrote that article about like monetization in games.
Yes.
And he said something like in the old days during subscription times, like EverQuest, Ultima Online, 50% of the revenue generated from the game actually went to people outside the game studio. So people who made bots, the gold sellers, right? RMT, they got 50% of the revenue. So I think, and I could be wrong, but I think a lot of these big companies, okay, are working with the spammers, working with the botters. Like it's like I think that Chinese game we played, Conquer Online,
and Conquer, yeah.
Well, Conquer is just more honest. It's like if we catch you botting, you know, you got to pay us.
That might be it.
I think a lot of games probably do that.
And just to recap, actually, we did Conquer Online for Friday Grind Fest, and the game has a feature where if you're caught exploiting or cheating or using any like unintended tools, you get sent to jail in the game, right? And that's a form of banning. There's no way out of jail in the game, right? You just sit in this one map and you're stuck in jail unless you pay money. So essentially, they ban you, and if you pay 2,000 CPS, which is the premium currency, you get out of jail. The second time the price goes up, it's 3,000 CPS. These are the current rates. And the third time, they say lifetime imprisonment. There's no way out, right? So they're actually monetizing player bans and player cheating. And you're saying that's more honest, which I guess if they are working in cahoots, I would agree. It is more honest, at least that way.
There's only 2 possibilities, right? Either like the studios like Jagex and whatever, like Blizzard or whatever, they're either retarded, like dumb, like literally like just dumb people, right? Or they're making money off the spammers and bots. Those are the 2 options. You got to pick one. All right. I picked one. I picked one of my own. You guys got to pick for yourselves.
And there is a case sometimes where these things cannot be manually done. However, you know, because I know somebody might bring this up. Like I know, for example, Google, giant search engine company, right? And we do a lot of search engine optimization and stuff with Google. People always say like in the webmaster world, like this website is obviously cheating, right? In Google, everybody wants to rank very high for certain keywords, right? When you search MMORPG on Google, obviously I want you guys to find MMOs.com, right, on the search rankings. And there's a very complex algorithm that goes to figuring out who ranks number 1, who ranks number 2, and so forth, right? And some websites cheat the system by doing all this shady shit, right? And people always say, Google, why can't you ban these websites, right? They're obviously cheating. And sometimes you can tell if they're obviously cheating the system, gaming the system, breaking Google's rules, right? But Google has to literally deal with billions and billions of websites. Google will never want to manually ban a website, right? They do on very rare occasions, but they don't want to. They want their algorithm to catch these websites, right? They want to automate the entire system. And with a company that is dealing with billions and billions of websites, I understand the need. You can't hire people to manually ban websites. There's literally tens of millions of websites that require manual banning. But that's not the case with MMOs. And it's a case where the game, people are paying to play the game often, whether it's monthly or through microtransactions, and there is, a strong incentive to create a clean environment for people, which is why the same argument I don't think applies for gaming. And I think I'm with you. I think they must be either incompetent or working with them. And I can't believe, these giant companies that make hundreds of millions of dollars are incompetent. So I think the tinfoil hat might be worth putting on because somebody must be working with them.
It's also a mix of both. Here's the thing: a lot of the guys who are big botters in these games are also the best customers, right? If you have such a passion for the game that you're multi-boxing 12 accounts, odds are you're also probably spending a ton of money in the cash shop, right? So I think there's a lot of overlap between top spender and like the guy who's botting and exploiting and RMTing, especially RMTing. Like I can imagine there's a lot of like 40-year-old people subscribed to like EverQuest who've been subscribed for like the past 20 years who do RMT on the side.
Yeah.
And the company knows they're RMTing, right? They see the transactions, but they don't want to ban this 40-year-old because he's been a customer for 20 years. If they ban him, he's not going to make a new account. He's 40, whatever. So I think they just kind of looked the other way.
But I think I'm saying ban the spammers and the botters on the other end, not the customers that buy it, and then maybe they'll keep buying more accounts too then.
I think a lot of the bigger studios now, like people are saying Jagex is pretty good with banning the spammers. And in WoW, I remember I got too much mail spam. Not so much spam in the general chat, but they would literally send you mail in the game. Like somehow they could never stop that, but they did stop the general chat spam.
Yeah. Actually, funny thing about the banning system in Conquer Online again, I think it's actually pretty funny because when you get banned, when you get caught for cheating, you get sent to jail in the game, right? And the jail in that game is actually a map. You can actually, like, let's say your account is banned, right? You can actually log into your account and walk around in jail. You're in a special jail map with I think all the other cheaters, right? And other people can come visit you in jail. Like they'll be on the other side of the fence. Is that awesome?
Yep.
You can just see all
you can shame them.
You can shame them if you want, but like
shame.
You can pay to get out, of course. Again, the first 2 times, the third time you're supposedly there forever. But like it's kind of a neat system. That aspect where you can see the people that got banned. I don't like the fact that you can pay to get out. That part is kind of stupid. And they have the audacity to say we take cheating seriously. Okay, bro, if you took cheating seriously, you would not allow people to buy their way out of cheating.
I do like the system though, only because like it's kind of meta. Like they keep it in the game. Like there's a jail, for the criminals. So I like that.
I think it's only for like using illegal programs. If you impersonate GMs, you're permabanned 100%. So they are keeping it, again in the system.
Nice.
Yeah. So again, if companies want to actually fix the spamming problem, just hire. Just you know what? If you can't figure it out, you give me the money. I'll hire some guy in India to do it for you. All right? Boom, done.
I'm sure if somebody starts a consulting company and already has infrastructure in place, like has a staff in India or whatever, right? And you have a nice slideshow presentation, like 10 slides, explaining what your service offers. We will moderate your chat, moderate your servers. We have a staff, full-time staff. Multi-box, multi screens for everyone. I bet you could pitch that to a lot of these publishers.
No, you'll make money. I think you're right.
Yeah.
No, I think you'll definitely make money. I'll do it if you pay me too. Nice. I mean, we can talk a little about Citadel. Have you heard about that one?
I haven't.
Let me know. Let me drop you that.
What's going on with Citadel?
That dank link. It's coming on Steam on early access on July 26th. You can show off that gameplay video over there. It's a sandbox MMORPG. Well, I think they call it a sandbox RPG. Let me see if they use the word MMORPG because I know some people are a little taboo about that for some reason. But yeah, it'll be on Steam too. So it looks pretty badass though. So look at this trailer.
Is it free or
no? I'm pretty sure it's gonna be buy to play.
Okay.
And it'll be in early access, but 8 to 12 months, and full launch sometime in 2018. No, they are using massively multiplayer RPG. So I guess it is an MMOR. They are calling it an MMORPG straight up. And oddly enough, it actually has a tag on Steam for single player. It's single player and MMOR. It's a single player MMORPG, guys. We've seen the first single player MMORPG.
Oh my god. I want to see this.
But it actually looks really cool.
Yeah, right. It has a single player tag.
But it looks pretty badass actually. You can like tame enemies, build castles. I think it's going for the whole dark and light thing too, where you can like have a big server, have some kind of persistent elements with some RPG elements and stuff too. And I think a lot of companies are kind of vying for being the first like truly sandbox MMORPG style game. Besides this, the only thing that comes to mind is light and dark and light rather.
Are these guys playing Quidditch? What's going on in this trailer?
I'm not sure.
They're like flying around on brooms.
Oh, boom! Maybe they can. But they did like spell casting and stuff, so it's in a fantasy setting.
Harry Potter, the grown-up years. All right, that's what this is.
But yeah, I think this could potentially do well. I mean, I actually haven't heard about this game at all until we got the announcement recently that's going to be Steam on early access. The music was composed by award-winning composer of Ori and the Blind Forest, Gareth Coker.
Oh,
who's that?
I mean, I heard of that game. I haven't heard of the
Oh, well, you heard about the game at least. Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yeah.
I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, it's one of those indie, like, moody 2D platformers.
I feel like there's a lot of those now.
Yeah, indeed there are.
But this is a game I'm kind of hyped for. But then what's funny is actually, like as soon as we got a release date for this game, like an early access release date, what's funny is they timed the early access date for Dark and Light. So now there's a Dark and Light release date as well. Like right after that happened. Let me find.
So they're competing with this kind of.
I think it was on what was it, early access for Dark and Light. It literally just happened.
It's July 20th.
Yep.
So in like 2 days.
There you go.
Wow.
Do you think it's because of that?
I don't know. I
don't think kind of
so.
similar to both sandbox RPGs with this fancy-ish setting.
Yeah, I mean, there's even dragons here.
Yeah.
Those they kind of look like dinosaurs.
Yeah. So again, it'll be on July 20th, coming out real soon. I think Dark and Light will do really well too.
There's another trailer actually that came out this week that I want to see. The Mad World one.
Yeah, it's fine.
Look at that trailer.
Let me find it for you.
Okay, so this is Mad World's interesting. It's an HTML5 MMORPG. So what that means is like it's cross-platform with mobile, PC, whatever. It's out the gate, just based on how it's made.
It looks pretty cool
So,
though. It looks really pretty.
yeah.
What at the beginning it says 4,000 years of slavery. What does that mean?
Dun dun dun.
The forest of wild. You know,
So this is like a browser, PC, and mobile game all in one.
PC, Mac, Linux, iOS, Android, everything, because it's HTML5, so it will work on browsers. But it's not like a traditional nonsense auto-playing browser game. It looks like a real MMORPG. It's an action MMORPG to boot. Now, what do the visuals remind you of? Let's see if you think of the same game I do.
Okay, it reminds me of Don't Starve.
Yes, I was gonna say Don't Starve. It actually also reminds me of the Exiled game. Do you remember that? We tried playing that nonsense.
Oh god, don't compare it to that.
Doesn't like the backgrounds kind of look like that?
Kind of.
Darkest Dungeon, somebody said as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it looks pretty cool though.
It does look really cool. I like the design. Like I just like the art choice they went with.
Our style, it helps differentiate it too. And it's an action MMORPG, so that alone kind of makes it fun too. Looks pretty badass. This one's gonna be coming out, I think, in 2018, which is unfortunately still a while away.
I didn't even mention this one in the weekly raid, but it is mobile as well. It's cross-platform mobile PC.
That's what I'm saying. I think when a game is, like available on PC and mobile, it automatically kind of like loses some of that stigma too. But I think when people play RuneScape mobile or Albion Online mobile or Lineage Eternal mobile, it's not going to be viewed as, oh, it's a mobile game. No, it's a PC game with a mobile client. And I think that's going to get a lot of people that are hardcore PC players to actually be interested in mobile. But yeah, it looks pretty badass.
Yeah, this looks really cool. This looks like one of those games that's very easy to get your friends into too. Just drop the link, bada bing, bada boom.
I wish you mentioned this is actually pretty big news that we got to mention. I know how much you love Bless. This is on 2P.
Oh, I love Bless. Let's hear
Bless announces their rebuild project that fundamentally changed the game. This is basically them saying, we're not done with Bless, guys. The game is not dead yet. And I actually really like that picture they used. It's like the girl in the box.
Yeah, it's really cute.
It is kind of cute, though.
It's a good present.
Yeah. I mean, a little too old for me, obviously, but we can make it work. The girl in the box. But they're going to rebuild the game with 3 main objectives in mind to fix Bless, to make it happen. They want to examine the game systems and framework thoroughly. Again, not sure entirely what that means. Not afraid of abandoning the current game structure and rebuilding from scratch and adding new contents. Which is a bit odd because I feel like both number 2 and 3 kind of contradict each other. Either if you're going to abandon the game, you would be adding new content to it. But I think maybe something was lost in translation because I'm sure they sourced some Korean news on this one. But I think the biggest issue with Bless has always been its optimization and the fact that it just doesn't work well on most PCs.
And yeah, the rest of it goes into a little more detail and it's a little more easily translated. They mentioned things like character growth. You don't feel different enough when you equip new armor and weapons. Enhancing your gear is like difficult, which I agree with. I don't like the concept of like enhancing gear. I never liked it. I'd rather just get new gear.
People are saying Bless Online and Realm Reborn, just like 14 is built that way too, because the current Bless Online game is unworkable. I think the core game is okay, but you just can't make it work with no optimization. If they can fix that, then worry about all the other systems making the other systems better. Then there's hope. I mean, the game itself is still like pretty impressive that it has this. Look at my videos for it. I did several. They're pretty good, but its optimizations have to be fixed.
My favorite tidbit about Bless is the fact that it cost $60 million to get it to where it is now. So they have a long road ahead of them.
Okay, so 60 million is pretty crazy. That again, it makes it to our list of most expensive MMORPGs ever developed. In fact, that's actually has it at let me see where it's on our list. Only a handful of games cost more than Bless. World of Warcraft cost 63 million to make. Original World of Warcraft. Rift cost a little more to make. We had Defiance. We had Tabula Rasa, Firefall, FF14, Star Citizen, and Destiny, and Elder Scrolls, and Star Wars: The Old Republic. Those are the only other games that cost more money to make than Bless. They'd spend a lot of money on it.
We're not done with Bless yet. If this whole rehaul is going to cost them, a few more million at least.
I think this is the ultimate developer hell right now. This game really has gone through a lot, unfortunately. And NeoWiz Games, they're not a big company. NeoWiz is let's see how big NeoWiz is right now. I wish they could. They wish they could take this back, and kind of get all that money back. Because I think NeoWiz is actually publicly traded, which is actually pretty cool. Yeah, they're trading on the COSDAQ, and they're doing quite poorly as expected because they spent so much money on it.
And what's funny though, Bless always had hype. Like all our videos for Bless, like we played Bless at least 3 times, right, for Grand Fest Friday. You know, these videos got a lot of views on our channel, and people were interested in this game, and at least I had fun playing the game. The optimization aside, I didn't have a problem with their current structure, whether it's the combat, you know, like the classes or whatever, or equipping armor, like that. I didn't think that stuff was particularly bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't like game breaking. The only game breaking thing, like you said, was the fact that it would go to like 10 FPS and you got to restart your computer.
Yeah, and GTX 1080 not good enough for it. Top tier i7s don't run well on it, and you have to have your game run well on, you know, weaker PCs, because let's be real, I think some of the most successful games in the world always run on weaker PCs. It's I think one of the reasons League of Legends is so like universally played as well is because it works so well on older PCs. Even World of Warcraft has always run really well on older PCs. Optimization is probably the most important thing. Like, you have to make sure your game works. I don't care how great the game is. If it doesn't work on half people's PCs, it's gonna suck.
Oh yeah.
So NeoWiz is actually worth 100. As of today, it's worth $122.8 million. Still a lot of money, but the company's value has gone down significantly over the years. But it's still sitting at 122 million. Hope maybe they can salvage Bless with this rebuild project. Again, there's no timetable for when any of this stuff is really going to happen. They said they're going to work on some new PvP content for end of August 2017. They're still updating the Korean version of the game, but unless we're talking fundamental rebuild, I don't think any kind of patchwork is going to fix it.
No, probably not. And like we said many times, it's not doing particularly well overseas either. The Russian version shut down. The European and American versions from Aria were canceled, and there's only a single server left in Korea, and with a beta currently going in Japan. So there's 2 versions out, Japan and Korea. The Korean version, the home market, has a single server going on. So it's not doing so well.
Hey, maybe again, hopefully they can fix it. I mean, I hope so, because it'd be sad to see them waste $60 million. Potentially a great game, but we'll have to wait and see for that one.
Yep. It's brighter news. Another game came out this week. This week's been pretty heavy with game releases.
Yeah, I mean, people, a lot of games do come out. You know, I feel like we get caught.
Summer. We're in summer.
We get caught up sometimes in like game closures and shutdowns. But like for every game that shuts down, even now, when people are saying the MMO market in the West is, you know, still kind of like in a slump, has been in decline. We've heard that a lot. Even with games shutting down, for every game that shuts down, we get so many more launches that people don't appreciate. There's just so many of these games still happen. So go ahead and pick it up with good old Gigantic.
Gigantic, yes. So apparently it's coming out. It's another one of those games that we played, like, it seems like over a year ago now, right? But it officially launching on Steam on the 20th, which is in a very short number of days, 2 days. Same time as the early access for Dark and Light. And this is like a MOBA action-y hybrid kind of game. And it's got a lot of interesting features. It's got the combat's, you know, fast-paced, especially for MOBAs. But I feel like it has too many game mechanics going on at the same time. Kind of like that Breakaway, right? Well, it's not really... Here's the thing. A good game is easy to learn, but difficult to master. And I feel like your first few games of Gigantic, like, you won't know, like, why is there a giant monster standing here? Like, right? Like, what's going on? Like, what do I have to do here?
No, you're right.
Yeah. And so it takes a few games to figure this one out.
And everyone always says, go play the tutorial. But let's be real, nobody plays it. Your game has to be designed assuming nobody's going to do the tutorial. I feel like we're at that point 100%, you know? Like, everyone just skips the tutorial. Nobody wants to read the text. So it has to be almost like instinctively, you know, you got to figure it out. Which brings me to a funny anecdote of a story. My buddy Witchy on Discord was on Maple Story and was trying to do a quest, right? And couldn't find out where to go for this quest, all right? I think if you look at the quest text, like on your quest tracker, it says go talk to this guy, right? But literally over your head are arrows telling you which way to go. And they couldn't figure it out. Because they were next to the NPC, but there was 2 NPCs with the same exact name. Because depending on which map you're in, you know? But that NPC in the map that Witchy went to just was not the NPC we're talking to. But if you follow the arrows in your head, it takes you a different NPC and you gotta talk to that one. But my point is, people don't... You have to make something so easy that it can't be fucked up. Even with literally arrows over your head, people don't read the text. They can't be bothered to figure it out. And I can't blame them because honestly, I'm the same way. I don't read the tutorial. Sometimes what's so obvious takes me like 10 minutes to do because I refuse to actually want to read the text. But with Gigantic, it's tough because it's good in that it's not a traditional MOBA because we've seen so many League clones and Dota clones fail. But it is, you have to at least play like 10 games where you begin to like really start appreciating the game. And I do recommend you do play those 10 games though, because at least it is different. But you got to put in the time.
It's free.
It's free to play too.
It's free, right? All right, there you go. and I'm showing some gameplay now. So if you guys like the art style, the movement and stuff, do check it out. It's a little different than it combines MOBA with like tab, you know, which is the
Team Arena Brawl,
which is a genre, which is the genre I made up. So there
do you think tab is going to catch on? Do you think like in the future developers will call their games tabs?
They should. It's a nice name, right, guys? Tab.
I'm gonna
Google
Brawler. Team Arena Brawl. Is anybody else using this term yet? If not, again, we should. MMOs.com is going to coin this term. Oh, Bloodline Champions to be revived as Team Arena Brawler back in 2016. So maybe they already beat you to it.
Hold up. But did they call it tab? Did they acronym?
I don't think they used the acronym tab.
All right. Team Anal Beds.
You know what's funny? We have a section on MMOs.com called MMO terms. We literally define very popular MMO terms. Anybody search in Google for MMORPG terms, MMO glossary, we rank #1. So I'm gonna actually add on the MMO terms list right now tab for Team Arena Brawler. All right, we're gonna make it official by putting it on on the official MMOs.com list of dictionary terms for MMO terms. It's gonna be a thing now. All right, it's real now.
Man, so many of these terms are so archaic now, like corpse run. I know. When was the last time you had to do a corpse run?
Never. That's like an EverQuest thing. Acronym for Team
Dirtnap. DKP. I remember those.
All right, tab is officially a thing now. We've done it, boys. We put it on MMO terms. too close to dabbing.
Why is cleric an MMO term? Why not, dude?
Pocky, why not? There you go. We're trying to capture everything. All right. If we missed any popular terms, let us know. It's fine. We have Dayoc for Dark Age of Camelot, but like we don't have abbreviations for like modern games.
It's okay. Mule.
You know what bothers me a lot? What triggers me? Very like a side anecdote. When people use the word gank incorrectly.
Yep.
I hate when somebody's like, "Oh, I just got ganked by that guy." I'm like, "Wait, you got killed by who killed you?" Like, "Oh, this one guy." I'm like, "Wait, you can't be ganked by one person." Like, gank comes from to gang up on somebody. You can't be ganked by one person, and you can't gank somebody as one person. Gank requires a group, and I hear it all the time. Like, am I wrong? Like, isn't this what gank means?
I think in the old days that's what gank meant, but in WoW, so many people use that term as for one guy jumping you. So I don't get what it means either. But I do think gank should be multiple.
I think it means ambush. On our own dictionary, we put it as to be referring to one player being overwhelmed and killed by a large group. Can be either by a group of other players doing player kill or a group of NPC monsters. But yeah, I mean, maybe everyone uses the term however they like, but for me, it's got to be multiple people. Otherwise, that's like the one thing I'm going to correct. Like, I'll go out of my way to say you're wrong. No, it's got to be multiple people. That's the one thing that gets me.
Hold on. Here we go. Ready? In a game, if you're fighting a mob that's your level, right? So it's taking a little bit of time, and it's like doing a quarter of your damage or more. Yeah. And they jump you while you're fighting the mob. Is that ganking? Because now it's the mob and them attacking you.
Yeah, you're getting double teamed that time, so I guess it could count.
Yeah. So I think if you're fighting monsters and they fight you and they jump you, that could be ganking, only because the AI is inadvertently helping them. But if you're just walking down the street by yourself and they kill you, that's not ganking.
Interesting. People saying I've used it as a term or heard it used as a surprise attack or a sneak attack. But like, I understand that people use it that way, but didn't it come for the word gank or gang up on? Like, isn't it a combination of gang and it's from gang up on? Like, there's a root word there. There's a reason it's called gank. Why they call it K? Why is it a K? Gank. Where they mean gang up on, but why K? Why do they leave it like a gang?
We gotta call up the MMO historian, all right? We gotta get the official root.
We need hot for words on this.
Hot for words.
All right. Shout outs to anyone who knows who hot for words is. This is old YouTube now, all right? Anybody in the Twitch chat?
All right.
No hot for words.
I think we're moving into post game territory, guys.
All right,
with that said, if you're watching on YouTube, check us live on Twitch. You can learn more about hot for words and other weird stuff. But thanks for watching, and that's all for this week.
That's it for YouTube. Later, guys.
Yep.